Hello, everyone. This is Charlie Wolf, and I'll be doing my first ever album review of Donna Lewis's Now in a Minute, released May 7th, 1996. It is a generally, primarily, purely pop-oriented album, although there are some hints at other genres and subgenres that I will go over, as I'll be breaking down each individual song on the album, the main 10, as well as a comment or two on the Philly remix of I Love You Always Forever. That's kind of tacked on as a bonus track of sorts. Not really a bonus track, but it's just kind of like that because it just appears on the end of the album. And I'll also have a nice little bonus surprise track I'll review at the very end that has a very special place in my heart for music when it comes to my own experiences. So, yeah, without further ado, we'll begin. Don't forget that you can also check some more information about the album detailed in the video description, including the personnel, the length, label, producers, studios, release date, again, and etc. So feel free to check that out, and we'll get started. A fun little note I want to add about this is that I discovered this album as quite a gem, I would say, and it's platinum certified, so it makes sense that I'd earned it, and I really enjoyed listening to it as a whole. Again, I'll break that down song by song and have one more summary at the end, but I just happened to find it in the middle of the summer, back in July, and I've always been curious about her stuff just because I love a lot of the traits of the hit single, and like many, that's all I really knew for her from this album specifically. But I had suspected, after many years went by and I thought about it, based on my own musical tastes and how she would likely be with more music, I would think that the rest of the album would be very interesting to me as a whole. And more likely than not, if I had to guess, I would probably really like it. Turns out my gut instinct was more than a little correct, as you will now hear in more detail. We'll begin with the first track of the album, which is a 3-minute and 41-second track entitled Without Love. Alright, so that was the opening segment of the song. I consider it a simple, catchy song with standard music and vocals and decent lyrics. It has a nice beat. It has a good basic message in the lyrics. The moral of the song being, give someone you love the attention they deserve. So, it is what it is. It's perhaps a little of a safer choice for an opening song, but then again, a safer opening choice for a song when you're debuting in 1996 is probably not a bad idea. But really, I don't have much positive that stands out to say about the song. It's a fine song. I don't mind hearing it most of the time, just whenever it shows up randomly in my playlist, but it's not a song I would typically go out of my way to listen to compared to most of her others. Like, I think of Donna Lewis. I don't think of Without Love as one of her highlights. I think more of, oh, it's a song. It exists. I like it, but I don't particularly love it. I'm not really fanatical about it or anything. But it's just a pretty basic song. It's fine. I don't have much negative to say about it, though, either, conversely. Really, other than the fact that maybe the song's instrumental attributes could have been improved a little bit. Maybe a little more guitar, maybe little bit of an interesting drum fill here or there, but I can't really argue with it though. It is fine. It's just it could have been a lot better to me, but it definitely could have been a lot worse. So it's fine. It's a fine song overall. Those are my basic thoughts. Next will be what I consider to be a tribute song of sorts, which is track 2 in Mother. There's that intro. This is a warm, sentimental song. It's emotionally impactful, both in music and in terms of vocals. It has positive, uplifting lyrics with the moral of always doing your best to not take your mother for granted, assuming you're not too estranged, of course. I won't force on those people out there, but we'd all want to, have a solid, memorable relationship with our mother and our father as well. But this is specifically, in her case, directed at her mother and meant for anyone's mother. At the very least, your mother helped bring you into the world physically as a heavenly gift. So, for that alone, they certainly deserve credit. That should always be given to them. The intro is really cute. I like that kind of a toy box kind of sound there. Or what is it called? Music box sound? Yeah, that's what I meant, not toy box. But maybe there's a musical toy box out there. But it reminds me of All I Want for Christmas Is You, the intro to that song by Mariah Carey, just a couple years before this album. And I really like that song. A lot of people do. But it's a nice touch, and it really kind of makes you think of your childhood and, it really sets the tone. It has pretty keyboards. I like the guitar riff underlying the choruses. You kind of have to listen closely to that, but it's there, and I like it. It really helps make the song more impactful and enjoyable, especially for me, because I'm an electric guitar guy. The outro is fun to sing along to, whether by yourself or with someone else, if you wish, or at least hum, something, whatever have you. We even just lip sync and pretend to be singing. I mean, whatever is your thing, that's fun. It's all cool to me. I like all that in the right mindset. Really, if I had to say anything negative about this song, it would really just be that, well, perhaps a little more guitar in other parts of the song, but that's I can always say that though about any song. But even some songs I have a decent amount of guitar, but I just really love guitars. But really, the song is for what it is. I can't really fault it. You like it or you don't. It's just one of those things you have to take it or leave it. I can't really find anything about the song that someone would hate, again, unless they just really hated the subject. But that's only a minority of people that had a really bad relationship with their mother. I don't have the best relationship with my own mother right now, but I certainly wouldn't, say that this song couldn't apply to her in some sense. That's pretty rare that a person would have that harsh a relationship with their maternal figure. But it is what it is. Really, the subject alone is really the only thing that can make or break the song for a person. But generally speaking, and even apart from that, especially if you just listen to the music and the vocals themselves as they're delivered, it's a really good song. It's fun. It's cute. It's really nice to listen, and it's just enjoyable to relax to. It's a great song, and particularly to me, the segment that stands out that I want to highlight here is the instrumental bridge, starting around 2.5 minutes into the song. Let me highlight this for you, and then I'll explain a little bit more what I mean. So yeah, I think it speaks for itself. That is a really beautiful segment there. It's only about 8.5 seconds, but it's just, you could just hear that on repeat for a while if you just like to zone out and relax, close your eyes, think of something nice, or maybe think of nothing at all. Just be at peace, just for a moment. I don't know. I really like that part of the song. It's pretty, you know. Maybe it could have been extended in length, maybe doubled, an extra, you know, a few measures, but that's why we have technology, right? To help repeat segments. If you really want to do that, make your own mix or whatever. I've done that too. It's fun. But yeah, I really like that. And like I said, the whole song is it's a really good song. It's a nice little tidbit of harmony and happiness, if I could say so myself. All right, next I will be moving on to the big hit single everyone knows. Say it with me. I love you, always forever.
Feels like I'm standing on a timeless stream of light mists, of pale ambrose. Feels like I'm lost in the deep cloud of heavenly scent. Touch it, discovering
Doesn't that just take you back to the mid-90s? Much better times than today, that's for sure. But still, yeah, it's the famous hit single that propelled this album to even be as known as it is, honestly, as a super, super catchy sound. Whether or not you like her or the song, it doesn't matter, because once you hear the song once, the beat, the words and especially the beat, you won't be able to escape it. I dare you to try to escape it after listening to the full song once, that you'll never forget that it ever happened. You will remember it. It's just such a dreamy sound to the music and the vocals. It just creates this soundscape. And it's for radio quality music. That's really rare. And I really like that. It was the perfect song for the single, honestly. The main number one. In your face, here I am, I exist, acknowledge me, industry and world song. If you're going to come out with that, this is it. This is a great song. It has a very catchy beat. The lyrics are nice as well and easy to remember, especially the chorus, obviously, which is, albeit a bit redundant, but it's very simple, and that's part of the point, to hook you. And, of course, the actual stanzas are a lot less memorable, but very intricate. If you listen to it, it's kind of rather somewhat poetic. It's nice. It's pretty. It really invokes the imagination. The enchanting, breathy vocals that she's known for. Again, the great soundscape qualities. The single actually broke the airplay record in the United States, exceeding 1 million spins on radio. First song ever to do that at the time. And as far as I'm concerned, first, always and forever, right? Just like the song, always forever. It's a great song, and has positive lyrics, the main moral being to cherish the tender memories you have of your soulmate and always remind them how much you really care whenever you can. And that's what love's all about, right? We'll do it. So searching for that love myself, but I keep the faith. Now, there was a Philly remix here, but and I will share a snippet of that too. It's less impressive to me overall, but it's a fine, curious stylistic take, and it works. Honestly, I was a little surprised based on the jazzier kind of club sound that it kind of invokes. So let me just show you a snippet so you get an idea of what.
feels like I'm standing on a timeless stream of light mists, of pale amber rose. Feels like I'm lost in a deep cloud of heavenly scent. Touch it, discovering
You can definitely see the jazzy tone there. Almost a little bit of a big band swing feel too, but mostly modern jazz. Check it out. I dare you to play the song side by side too. That's very interesting. Better back to back than side by side, but either way. That moves on to track 4 which is the hypnotic, mesmerizing, nothing ever changes. It really doesn't, does it? Yeah, I think you can see what I mean by hypnotic, right? Gerry Leonard's guitars. I mean, you can see why they call him Spooky Ghost. Well, he calls himself that, but regardless, yeah, he can make that hypnotic sound with his guitar. It's really nice, and apparently he's worked with David Bowie and some other big-name artists before, so it's kind of interesting that she pulled him in for this, or maybe someone else helped her find him. But regardless, it works, and it's very nice, hypnotic, enchanting, enjoyable sound. It draws you in. It gets your attention. It's a solid mid-tempo song. Very poetic lyrics. Honestly, they're the most enigmatic in the whole album. I actually had to think of how to draw a concrete moral from this in terms of the lyrics and the meaning that I could pull from it. Maybe you could pull something a little differently, but generally speaking, I try to find the most middle-of-the-road way to interpret a song's lyrics, especially where it's not very defined. This is definitely a song that lyrics meaning isn't really defined. It's more just really nice poetry set to music. Almost has a subtle gothic tone or something going on here. It's really, really interesting. It's really cool. It's those ethereal, mesmerizing guitar riffs throughout the song, just from the beginning to the end. Of course, that's Gerry Leonard's specialty. Really, really nice. It really makes the song memorable. The lower register that she uses at the ends of each stanza and in the bridge adds to the haunting quality as well. She does decently with that. I really like the fun held notes at the end of the song. That's pretty. And just, again, it's catchy. Very complex lyrics as a whole, though, I would say, especially for the casual listener. The real moral I could get from this is recovering from a broken relationship can be very difficult to overcome, but it can be done if you try hard enough. It's not completely hopeless. It might feel like it at times, nothing ever changes, but eventually things do if you just hang in there. And really it's just in the bridge when she says, lay down, let it break down. Just let it all fade away. And so that's the only real hint. Very subtle hint. And you could definitely interpret it to mean something else, but that's the most subtle hint I could think. Yeah, you will get through it. It just seems like forever, and you seem like you're stuck in this endless loop. So that's what I pull from the song. And a really wonderful song. I really love this song so much. And yeah, that's Nothing Ever Changes. Now we'll be moving on to track 5, which is Simone. Correct me if I'm wrong, someone, but I believe that pretty instrument there is the omnichord, which she very well might have done herself. So, others did too on some other songs, but in that one, I think it's simple enough of a melody. I think she could have done it herself, so it's pretty. Regardless, though, it's a very harp-like sound, and it's lullaby-like music quality right there, ladies and gentlemen. Very decent, basic ballad. It has sympathetic, uplifting lyrics. It's very slow-paced, but very, very take-me-away, relaxing. You could sleep to that song, especially with that lullaby tone. It's a great song for that. It also sounds like a tribute song, too, to a possible friend or relative, someone named Simone, maybe a person she knew or knows. Very reflective, positive lyrics. Moral of you have to learn to let go of the past, no matter how painful, in order to move forward with your life and achieve your dreams, which is a very positive general idea, certainly. So, yeah, dream big and don't give up, and be faithful, and the Lord shall guide your steps in life. It's a wonderful song. It's definitely something that caught my attention the first time listening to the album. and it was one of the first songs I added additional to the hit single, of course, as I kind of picked apart the album song by song and added them until I eventually had the whole album, and I wanted to have the whole album too. So it's really nice find, and definitely worth your time if you check it out. Next, we will be moving on to Love and Affection. Alright, so here we have an okay song. It's the most aggressive sounding song on the album, mainly from the guitar riffs. It has romantic lyrics, the general moral of, never forgetting to actually include affection in love, instead of, just like, I love you, and it's like, yeah, we learned that without love, give someone some attention and tell them that, with I love you always forever, but, here, also have affection too, be playful, have fun, that's what life's all about. And love especially. But like I said, though, it's an okay song. For me, it's the weakest, least memorable track on the album. There are romantic undertones with matching vocals, and the lyrics are somewhat cliched, although there's definitely some more interesting points to the lyrics as well. It's just kind of a mixture there. It's definitely the last song I added. I had to kind of hear this several times, and I had to kind of really think about it, and I was like, you know what, it's good enough for me to want to hear it on occasion. It's definitely not something I would go out of my way to hear normally, and certainly not something I would probably really think when I think, oh yeah, Donna Lewis, I like something about her, I like something she's done. I'm not really going to think of this song. It's not, I wouldn't call it a dud. To some people it might be, but to me, it's just okay. It's all right. It's nothing particularly amazing. I don't really consider it to be a hallmark of anything. I'm sure there's some unique things it's done, but it's pretty minimal contributions as far as, music is concerned. But it's fine. It's listenable. That's the important thing. At least the weakest song on your album is going to be listenable. And not even to just a fan. I think most casual listeners could say, hey, it's a song, And, it is what it is. However, I will point one thing out about it. The instrumental ending of the song is actually kind of nice. So I'm going to show you that. You tell me what you think. So yeah, I kind of like that fading, dying guitar sound with the keyboards. It's really pretty fade out. But we'll be moving on to my personal favorite song on the entire album, absolute gem, named Agenais. Wow. Come with me, friends, and I'll lead you to a wonderful dreamland of eternal happiness. Yeah. That's amazing. And just the intro, I was already sold seconds into that. And it's a wonderful ballad. Very memorable overall sound, dreamy music and vocals to boot, elegant poetic lyrics. Just, as far as I'm concerned, in its own right, a masterpiece. Absolutely beautiful music throughout the entire song. Whispery, breathy vocals are most prominent here on the whole album that she uses that work to actually give the track a more enchanting, dreamscaping tone and quality. The lyrics are very elegant, poetic, recalling ethereal scenes of idyllic country life in a seemingly fantastical world of joy-filled, carefree nature. I mean, who doesn't want to experience that at some point, even for a moment? That just sounds amazing, If only, if only. Happy, uplifting lyrics, a moral of appreciating the beauty of life every day, every moment. just cherishing this beauty of the universe that the Lord has made, and living life to the fullest whenever we can. It's just a beautiful, happy, positive song. I don't see how anyone can't like this song. It's just wonderful. It's beautiful. It's just, I love it. It's just, this is the hallmark and highlight of this album to me. It's just so beautiful. Honestly, words can not adequately express it. You just have to hear it and experience it for yourself. Please let me know what you think about this song. It is absolutely gold. All right, next up on the album, track 8, Fool's Paradise. I would also imagine this is spelled with an apostrophe. On the album, I believe it's not. Yeah, it's not, if you look at the album back on the picture here. But it should be. But I can also see contextually how it could also be semantically correct to say fools without that, as in multiple fools, instead of just one fool's paradise. So it makes sense either way. It's just a nitpick, but not a big deal. Anyway, here's the introduction. You hear that 80s drum beat, everyone? That reverb? I do. Ha ha ha. Oh yeah, baby. That's right. Bring back the 80s. Ow. So yeah, it's a fun radio-friendly song. Honestly, I don't know why this was never a single. That's just really questionable to me. It's very catchy, has fitting music and vocals, interesting and yet potentially relatable lyrics. If you live long enough and experience enough, you'll probably meet somebody, even if it's not in the context of a romantic relationship like the song probably is. Anyone who's just a jerk who is full of themselves and seems to not give you any due just treatment. It goes into my moral, the empowering lyrics basically saying that narcissistic manipulators aren't worth your time. Really, just move on. You don't need to be around those people. Pray for them and hope that they change, but if they don't, that's okay. You don't have to see them again. Especially in this life. So don't worry about it. It's just, ignore those people. All they do is try to bring you down. They're just negative influences. Again, that strong 80s like reverb drum beats throughout the whole song really accentuates that the opening drum line in the lyrics. Because he literally says, banging on your big drum. And there's literally a big drum, well, maybe normal sized drum, but, a big enough drum in the background. It sounds really nice and bombastic. And that's kind of cool. It's just a little funny, a little sneaky little pun-like nudge there for the song and the lyrics. And it makes sense, too, in the context of what she's saying. So it's great. Very catchy instrumental riffs. I just love it. I love the song. Strong sing-along quality potential at near the end, and just even with the music, you just want to hum it, especially with the bridge instrumental. It's just wonderful. The ending lines and chorus are also very catchy and singable. I want to just emphasize this instrumental vocal bridge. Very fun and fun to play along to and sing with or whatever have you. Just check this out. Feel free to replay that 29 seconds of bliss right there as much as you want during this video. Whenever. You can just find the whole song too. That's even better. Check it out. It's really fun. Anytime, any day, anyway. Which leads us to track 9, my second favorite song, and not by as much as you'd think, Lights of Life. Ah, yes. This song, this wonderful little song, well, not little, it's actually almost 5 minutes. It's the longest song on the album, and for good reason. It's an excellent, risky album cut. It has a progressive art pop style sound and lyrics. I really appreciate that here. It's like, think in the vein of, Peter Gabriel or Kate Bush, more likely because, female. But, something like that. It's just really, it's different. And I like that. And I'm not even necessarily the biggest fan of progressive pop, but I like the idea, and I like progressive rock, which is the the harder version of progressive pop. But I really like that, and it's really nice. They're fantastic, fantastical, or fantastical, either way. Both choral vocal arrangements are really nice. Highly intriguing narrative in the words and the music. And yes, music can convey a narrative. I mean, Peter and the Wolf exists for a reason, right? It's really nice. There's this weak heartbeat-like drum beat. It's rather subtle and easy to overlook, but it's most prominent when the rest of the song is quiet, especially at the very beginning, like you just heard. And throughout this entire song, there's this weak heartbeat just playing there, faintly, throughout everything. And it's like you're just hanging on, surviving. It just really, really pulls that mindset in. There's such gentle music underlying such an ominous or serious situation in the lyrics. And the keyboards are beautiful. The hypnotizer. He said the hypnotic synthesizers. Yeah, a big difference between a hypnotizer and a hypnotic synthesizer. Well, kind of, but you get the point. Those are really pretty, and the lyrical qualities with those progressive pop type theming. It all comes together really well, and it's a surprise. Honestly, I was really taken aback by this song. I'm like, this song needs a lot more love, honestly. It really does. It's really nice. And it's surprising from someone's debut album, nonetheless, in a genre that was meant for what you'd think would be mainstream radio pop, and then you really check it out, and it's much more this, dream, progressive, art pop type influence, and especially comes out in this song. It's just really nice. The main moral here, never lose faith or hope, for even when things seem impossible to overcome, miraculous events can happen and grant you all a second chance. Me, you, anyone that's in this situation. A second chance at life, at love, and laughter. Makes it fun. So thank God for that, right? It's a great song, and there's a couple other elements here specifically that I want to point out that make it so great. The first one will be this clip here. Try looping this for a bit and tell me it doesn't draw you in. It's from the first, what would technically be considered a chorus, but it's different from your typical chorus. But it technically would be considered a chorus. And you'll see why. And you'd know even more if you listen to the whole song and hear the other later quote-unquote choruses. And I can say how it's different from a normal chorus, but it's just really wonderful. Check it out. So yeah, you can tell what I mean. It's very haunting, but you can just feel and hear the tone and how critical that moment is. I added the effect there just for this video, fading in slowly and then fading out slowly, and it's just like it never ends. It just keeps going, and you just keep hanging in there, fighting, resisting death and suffering and anything else. You're just trying your best to hang in there. It seems bleak, but you're just crying out for help to anyone who cares to listen. Probably no one at all, even. Just crying out to the heavens, crying out to God, help me. You just feel so lonely. You can apply it to anything, a real situation or more than likely a figurative one. But it's just, you feel so desolate. And it's beautiful, but it's chilling, like literally, because the theme of the song was the cold and snow and everything. But it's just so, gosh, I spent over a minute just talking about this one part because it's such a key, critical, special, intriguing part of the song. So yeah, try looping that in just wherever and tell me you don't just get lost for a while. As long as you want, really, but it's really, really nice. And later choruses, she's singing other lyrics over that. So that first time is when he really comes out, but it's still lurking even in the background of all the other lyrics. It's just a pretty nice effect. I really like what she did there, and the people that mixed this and everything. They did a good job. Very good job overall. Very nice. Very nice. And also, if anyone heard any sound there, that was me accidentally hitting the chord. I was just trying to... It sounds like the gesture to nobody, but just for my own purposes when I do this, and I accidentally hit it, so yeah, it's not a big deal. But yeah, the next segment I want to share is, let's see, the nice bridge interlude with a well-incorporated spoken line. That's very rare in pop music, especially of other genres and whatnot. So check this out.
It was my birthday, the day they found me. Now I am 1 week old. My life from this moment begins again.
Wow, right? That just adds even more to the song that is already wonderful. It's just, there's so many things to like, and it's virtually flawless for what it is and what it's attempting to convey and accomplish, no less. So, again, Lights of Life, my second favorite song by relatively thin margin overall, but Aginatus has that little bit, and I'll explain a little more of that momentarily. But yeah, it's a great song. They're both great songs. This song also wonderful, absolutely wonderful. You are probably just very differently minded about these kind of songs if you don't really like this song for any reason. Again, obviously, post that if you do not like it for some reason. But please, remain a sense of decency in your comments, and just, let's share ideas. That's what it's all about, right? Let's see what we can do. Finally, we end with the song Silent World. Shortest song on the album, and one of the slowest. Yeah, that's Silent World. It's the last, what I meant to say is the last song on the album that's not a remix, I should say, or a bonus track or anything. It's a very moving, heartfelt ballad, delicate, tender sound, musical quality, wonderful stuff, raw, sentimental vocals, and sweet, loving, hopeful lyrics. Minimal production, poignant learning in those lyrics. Most anyone who's lost someone dear to them can relate to. The moral of always honoring those you love in your hearts and minds forevermore, really. In this life and the next. And know that you will be with them eventually, as the lyrics say, You are in heaven. If you know Christ, you will be. And it's a wonderful thing to think. Anyone that's grown up in a church environment or understands, faith and longing and mourning, it's a wonderful song. Perfect funeral song, by the way, for anyone who wanted to use it. It's succinct, to the point. Just a couple of minutes and a half long. A nice little song, and a fitting enough ending to a very surprising, wonderful, enjoyable album as a whole. It's great. Definitely give it a listen to. Yeah. Next, I'm going to go into my suggested singles release spread, and also my favorite tracks again in overall order from most to least, and then my reasoning for that. I'll also make some final notes on the album, and I'll throw in the bonus at the very end, which you'll see. If you know Donna Lewis, and you know what she's well known for, especially outside of her obvious hit single here, that we've already mentioned, you know what song this is. Alright, so next little piece here, my suggested singles release spread, which is how I would release the songs on this album, assuming it had maximum singles, which would be 5, since there's 10 songs. You always have a B-side, right? So I have A-side, B-side, respectively. Obviously, I'm not going to change anything about I Love You Always Forever being the hit single, that it is. As its B-side, which I don't know what the B-side is for sure. I haven't done enough research to determine that. If you know what it is, go ahead and feel free to post it, but I'll probably figure it out eventually. I didn't do really heavy research, but I did some basic research, and I didn't see anything about it. And I looked up as a single. I didn't see information about a B-side, which is strange. Like on Wikipedia and places, usually they have whatever the B-side would be, but they did not. And I also looked up on a couple other sites, and I didn't quite see it either. And if I did, I overlooked it or can't recall. So I would like to know what it actually was. But regardless, if it is this, it's great. But I would release it as the first single, I Love You Always Forever, gotta be. With B-side of Agenais. Yes, my favorite. Wonderful song. That dreamy quality from the hit just gets blown into universal proportions of celestial beauty. It almost defies one's initial comprehension. It's just wonderful, wonderful combination of songs. Second single, Fool's Paradise. Now, I know the actual second single was Without Love, but in this case, I'm doing Fool's Paradise as a single and having it a second. And I'm going to release the B-side, Lights of Life. Why? Well, there wasn't really a song here that I thought would fit or go good that doesn't go better with another song. And I just love that flow from track 8 to track 9. Like, yeah, it's totally different in pretty much every way between the two songs, but I just really like how they mesh on the album. And since it's just an album order, can't go wrong with that, right? Speaking of album order, I do that the same with Nothing Ever Changes and Simone as the next single B-side combo. Again, good combination of songs that flow right and well into each other. Better than 8 and 9 do, but yeah, 4 and 5 here still go together well, so that's why I keep them on this. And yeah, here's Without Love as the fourth single, and coupled with Love and Affection. Definitely, it's the two weakest songs in the album in my opinion, but I'm putting them together because they sound similar enough, and they're about on the same level as each other. So, it's not being maybe a big throw out there with the B-side, but again, I'm making the single the stronger song of the two, which is what people expect. So, for the most part, that's what I'm doing here. So, what people would probably perceive. And then, of course, the last single would be Mother, which it was the third and final single of this album. And again, I don't know the B-side, so I'd like to hear that if anyone has posted it. If it's Silent World, which is why I paired it with, another, two great songs about people you know or knew, or possibly both, if it's applicable. It just makes sense. And if it actually was that way, then again, let me know, but that'd be cool. So, yeah. That's my singles release spread for these songs. Next, I will be going over my favorite tracks in order from most to least. All right. So, my favorite tracks on the album from most to least are Agenais, number 1. Number 2, Lights of Life. Number 3, Nothing Ever Changes. Number 4, I Love You Always Forever. Number 5, Fool's Paradise. Number 6, Simone. Number 7, Mother. Number 8, Silent World. Number 9, Without Love. And number 10, Love and Affection. The reasoning for the order of my tracks is that, for me personally, Agenais narrowly beats out Lights of Life solely because the music is just so inescapably beautiful and imaginative. The lyrics are positively toned. It's just wonderful. Obviously, Lights of Life, conversely, again, more great music that's more secondary and supportive to the vocals, which tell a wonderful story that is overall much more dark, with a silver lining by the end, though, by comparison. So it's just really, if they were exactly the same, I'm usually going to pick the more positive song. It's just me. But they're not the same, but I can't escape the beautiful portions of Agenet. And this, how nice the lyrics. It's just, I can't, I've got to pick Agenet. It's just, a little bit torn sometimes between them, but it's not too hard for me to say Agenet when I really think about it. However, that's not to take away from Lights of Life, by any means. It's decently ahead of Nothing Ever Changes. Not by a wide margin, but it's definitely noticeable. Mainly due to the greater appreciation of much less vague lyrics and narrative qualities of the former. So Lights of Life, for me, it's easier to understand what's going on and interpret it. Obviously, the latter's music is much more intriguing, though, I believe. Obviously, Lights of Life, the lyrics were supposed to be predominant over the music, for the most part. And it was supposed to be complementary, the music. So, yeah, Nothing Ever Changes is ahead of I Love You Always Forever, mainly due to the ethereal guitar-driven soundscape and certain trance-like vocal segments. Although, clearly, I Love You Always Forever is much catchier and radio-friendly. That is ahead, although not by a lot, of Fool's Paradise, mainly because it's just more pleasing overall sound quality of the music, one to another. But to me, of course, the catchiest instrumental segment, the bridge of Fool's Paradise, is funner to listen to than anything that I Love You Always Forever has to offer, for me. Speaking of which, Fool's Paradise beats out Simone pretty well, but not by so much that, it's notable. But it's almost exclusively because the former is literally the fastest song on the album. Fool's Paradise. Fastest song on the album. Whereas Simone is literally the slowest song on the album. It's barely slower than Silent World, but it still is. Again, with any chord sounds, my apologies. But Simone beats Mother for aesthetic reasons. Mainly, I appreciate the lullaby quality of the former over the latter. It's pretty mood dependent, though, honestly. Mother beats Silent World because the sleek production is more apparent and has much more depth than the simplistic Silent World. I tend to prefer more going on in my music, generally. And because of its length. It's almost twice the duration of Silent World. I prefer longer songs and shorter ones normally. Silent World beats Without Love. Misread that. Mainly because of how tender and sentimental it is, and because the latter is probably the most standard pop-sounding song on the entire album. Yeah, it's just the most straightforward. Even Love and Affection has some more unique qualities to it. However, it's still beat out by Without Love, and is my least favorite song, solely due to the lyrical theme, and the music and vocals being overall more interesting than the latter. I mean, I can't really relate with that personally yet, since I'm not in a romantic relationship, and also, more specifically, a marriage, honestly. It's definitely more marital themed. So yeah, that's the main reason why. Those are my favorite tracks and my reasoning for the order. Next will be the wonderful bonus, which you probably already know by now, if you follow Donna Lewis well enough. That hit single from the Anastasia soundtrack in 1997 with Richard Marx. Oh yeah. At the Beginning. Anyone who was alive in the mid-late 90s knows that. Oh yes, it is At the Beginning. Again, Donna Lewis with Richard Marx, pop rock legend in his own right. Very fun, memorable song from my childhood. It was actually, fun fact here, my very first radio pop song I can remember obsessing over inside, and I have loved it dearly ever since. It is one of my all-time favorite songs for this reason alone. Even more so to me, just because of that alone, than even the actual album Now in a Minute. That's why I separate them. It's its own thing to me. It's an excellent use of Marx's and Lewis's distinctive vocal styles. They complement each other well. You can see why he picked her for this production, or he was picked to be with her for this production. I would think he would have had the bigger say because he was the more well-known star at that point. She was really up and coming. and even in retrospect, never quite reached anything that he has with success as a whole. But doesn't mean she's not good though. That's for sure. At least she produced a few albums too. That's nice, and she still, does some tours here and there. Nothing major though, but just she'll do some things here. And she hasn't done anything too recently, but it's nice to know what she'll have in store for us in the near future. But regardless, those uplifting, lovely lyrics. The moral of the purest love comes full circle throughout life's never-ending journey. Couldn't say it better myself right there. The song is amazing. It's just a wonderful, fun song. That is the way radio pop cuts from movie soundtracks should be. And that's how they often were in the 90s. And honestly, the 90s were probably the peak for movie soundtrack songs. The only other possible exception being the 80s is because of the 80s. But honestly, music themes weren't nearly as big of a thing, even as they were in the 90s. So I think the 90s was probably king of that, honestly. So yeah, I know I'll be wrapping up my album review here shortly. Well, these are my final notes on the album Now in a Minute by Donna Lewis. Again, a very wonderful album. I highly recommend this to anyone who appreciates fun, morally positive pop music, anyone who enjoys listening to soothing music to relax and unwind to, any fans of dream pop and perhaps some of the progressive pop for a few tracks, those who love listening to enjoyable 80s inspired 90s pop rock with a purpose, whatever have you. It's just a nice album. Good listen. I recommend it to just about anyone, really. And you know who you are if you fit in those categories or things I didn't even mention that might pique your interest with this album. I look forward to doing more album reviews in the future, and it's very possible the next time I do, it'll be a Donna Lewis album. Maybe. Probably not, but maybe, because I know first thing next year, I'm looking forward to this already, I'm going to listen to, for the first time, her album in 1998, Blue Planet. So I look forward to that, and we'll see what becomes of it. At the very least, I might pull the songs I like from it most and make videos for those. But regardless, I'm sure I'll like something, considering how I felt about this album. Thank you all. God bless. Be safe. And keep at it, Donna Lewis. We love you. We love what you do. I hope you continue to record and produce great music. Goodbye, everyone. Charlie Wolf out.